Even seasoned watchers can be mesmerized by the magnificence of a total solar eclipse. Keep in mind these important phenomena despite your excitement. Even seasoned watchers and scientists might be mesmerized by the stunning sight of a total solar eclipse. Viewers frequently entirely miss secondary occurrences in the excitement. A total solar eclipse involves much more than just the sky turning dark for a short while. The entire world as you know it changes in that small period of time. Here is a comprehensive, step-by-step explanation on what to expect to see if you're going to the complete solar eclipse on Monday, August 21st. You probably won't see everything described here, but if you know what to look for, you'll have a higher chance of finding it. NASA will be providing a live stream of the solar eclipse starting at 12 p.m. on space.com. Various phases. The partial stages of the eclipse will run for more than an hour before and after totality if you are within the path of totality. You won't see anything unusual if you are wearing eclipse glasses or a welder filter when the partial eclipse first starts, but just be patient and wait a few minutes. In a little while, you will notice a tiny dent forming on the sun's upper right edge, or, if you are projecting the sun's image, its lower left edge. The moon's black disk will be traveling slowly in front of the sun at this time. It will appear to be a small bite at first, but as you look closer, you will notice that it is moving more like the minute hand of a watch. However, because of how strong the sun is, you might initially be frustrated because it doesn't seem like the sky is getting any darker. However, you'll observe that the globe is indeed becoming slightly darker when the sun is more than halfway obscured. Initially, it will appear as though the sun is shining through a thin cloud, yet the shadows that are being cast are just as vivid, clear, and dark as if the sun were beaming directly down. When the sun has been obscured by around 80%, the sky's illumination is noticeably off. The sun, now reduced to a thick crescent, is also getting thinner and thinner, sharpening the shadows in the process. You could even feel a bit uneasy as totality approaches and the sky gets progressively darker because this is a circumstance that neither you nor anyone who might be nearby have any influence over. You can only now start to comprehend why eclipses attracted and frightened ancient people. There is usually a palpable excitement in the last few minutes before totality. Skinny sliver. The brightness of the sky diminishes as the unobstructed portion of the sun quickly transforms into a smaller and thinner crescent, creating an effect very different from the darkness that sets in at the conclusion of a sunny day. The countryside in the distance is illuminated by an odd, dull, unsettling, silvery light. The temperature may drop by a few degrees or more as the sun's crescent becomes a little sliver, and a cool wind may suddenly start to blow. People nearby may be chatting nervously as they notice the changes in the environment, too. You might also hear birds chirping enthusiastically as they focus on their cameras and observe the changes occurring all around them. As dusk draws near, seabirds may fly toward the shore in search of their usual roosting locations. Other creatures might creep inside. Closed flowers. Both katydids and crickets chirp. You might possibly be fortunate enough to capture a brief glimpse of faint, flickering, shimmering waves of light and dark moving quickly across the ground or along the sides of buildings a few minutes before totality. These enigmatic bands of light and shadow, known as shadow bands, are brought on by the sun's final rays being bent by Earth's turbulent atmosphere, the same kind of turbulence that gives the stars in our night sky the appearance of twinkling. Following shadow. Focus on the northwest of the sky in the final few seconds before totality to watch for the moon's black shadow as it approaches. It may first be seen low on the horizon as a looming area of deep gray, tinged with red and orange hues. It will be rushing toward you at almost 30 miles, 48 kilometers, per minute. Any clouds that might be in your line of sight appear to substantially darken, as though a massive storm is brewing out in the distance. As totality approaches, the shadow will appear to widen as it approaches, covering more and more of the western sky like some hazy curtain of profound blackness. The remaining light of the day will be pretty dim at this point. Bailey's jewelry. The sun's crescent will quickly fragment into tiny spots of light known as Bailey's beads as it becomes only a thin line. The narrow crescent sun is partially obscured by the moon's mountains, which reach into it, while the moon's valleys allow the last few rays of sunlight to produce dazzling spots or beads at the edge of the moon's dark disk. This impact only lasts a brief period of time. It's time to take off your eclipse glasses during the last few seconds before totality because it is now safe for you to stare directly at the sun. Jewel ring. An burst of light illuminates the area around the darkened sun as the last ray of sunlight is about to blink out. Only a single bead of sunlight is visible as the corona, a thin ring of light from the sun's outer atmosphere, starts to encircle the dimmed sun. When combined with your initial glimpse of the corona's thin ring, the last bit of sunlight mimics the glow of a beautiful diamond, giving the impression that it is creating a magnificent diamond ring in the sky. As the moon entirely obscures the sun, you will probably hear oohs and ahs, gasps, cries, and screams from people all around you. You could even be shouting too. That's it. Finally, totality. The surrounding environment abruptly turns pitch black, and the sky appears to be quite similar to how it does an hour before or an hour after sunset. A few prominent planets and stars come into view. You could be wondering right now if this is all a dream or if it's actually happening. Even though everything is genuine, it's still difficult to believe. People have waited years and traveled hundreds or even thousands of kilometers to see this. Some people are in awe. Some people pray. Some people cry. Some people even have joyful tears flooding their faces. Cameras snap. Cameras on video hum. Quick adjustments are made to tripod positions to improve the view. It's interesting to note that once the initial yelling and screaming dies down, most people immediately cool off and enter a state of quiet enjoyment. They survey the bizarre situation and make an effort to take in as many of the fabulously bizarre views as they can during the all-too-brief total eclipse. A corona. The stunning corona, the eclipse's crown, is now clearly visible as totality sets in. It extends millions of miles from the dimmed sun, pearly white and as dazzling as a full moon. The sun's blazing upper atmosphere, or corona, is extremely hot. Although it always surrounds the sun and is hotter than 1,000,000 degrees Fahrenheit, it is always obscured by the sun's usual overwhelming brightness, with the exception of total eclipses. The corona appears brightest when it is closest to the sun and progressively gets dimmer as it moves farther away. Its appearance is influenced by the amount of solar activity, which is the frequency of flares, explosions, and prominences, bands of hot material, leaving the sun's surface. Since sunspot activity is currently at a minimum, the corona is expected to show lengthy, equatorial streamers extending in one or more directions. Its outside edges could have brush-like points or could appear ragged. The extent and shape of the corona, which is made up of electrically charged material flowing from the sun at a few million miles per hour, are determined by how many sunspots are present on its surface. These are then brought about by the star's fluctuating magnetic activity. Viewers can safely observe the corona during totality without any safety filters or viewing screens. These prominences. But as you're still processing your first clear view of the corona, you might also catch a glimpse of what appear to be a few rubies lingering about the sun's darkened disk. These rising tongues of hot hydrogen gas from the chromosphere, the lowest part of the sun's atmosphere, are referred to as solar prominences. They leap tens of thousands of kilometers above the sun's surface, far enough to be seen as small red or incandescent pink flames above and beyond the eclipsed moon. That was for today. Thank you for staying with us. Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel.